Information is power. Access to information is critical. School children in remote areas hardly get access to good libraries. What more to the internet? All children, regardless of gender, economic, and social status, have the right to information, including S&T information. Information that would inspire them to become future doctors, inventors, engineers, entrepreneurs, researchers, and more. STAR-Books is here to bridge the information divide. STAR-Books, or the Science and Technology Academic and Research-based openly operated kiosks, is the first Philippine S&T digital library in a box with thousands of science and technology information materials from all over the world. Developed by the men and women of DOST-STII Science and Technology Information Institute in 2011, STAR-Books capsulized the DOST-STII's library into a digital box. Demand for this innovative and beneficial digital resource rose steadily, especially in economically marginalized schools and last-mile communities in the country. Through the years, STAR-Books has worked with key industry players. From collection to dissemination of information, these partners have worked together with STAR-Books in making a difference on how Filipinos view science and technology today. That is why award-giving bodies here and abroad have recognized STAR-Books' vital contributions to the society. As of October 2020, STAR-Books can be found in almost 4,900 sites in all 17 regions, staying true to its mission of reaching the grassroots. So, wherever you are in the country, whatever language you speak, and whether you're a student, a parent, a teacher, an employee, or a social worker, get ready for STAR-Books! Partner with us, and together, let us bring science for the people.
STAR-Books, as you know it, is an offline databank of science and technology information who once developed an online version for your PC and has evolved this time to conquer your mobile phones.
Introducing STAR-Books mobile apps. With your Android phone, experience the brightest STAR-Books yet.
Bringing you not just one, but 3 mobile applications. 1. Never mess with search engines again. Use the STAR-Books online mobile app. Access legit science and technology data from STAR-Books online wherever you are. Just connect to the internet. Download the app. Register at the sign-up page. Key in your details. Once done, all you've got to do on the main page is to simply click on the icons and explore the vast array of S&T info materials at your fingertips. Search all you want. It's also available with the STAR-Books online mobile app.
2. Take on the challenge. Take on the STAR-Books quiz. STAR-Books brings you the most sought-after exhibit at the National Science and Technology Week.
Students, teachers, parents, and science whizzes out there, download the STAR-Books quiz today. Choose your difficulty level. Have fun and learn science and technology stuff at the same time. Be the first to play the Starbucks quiz and take advantage of the gamified version coming soon. 3. Finding Starbucks has never been this easy with the Starbucks Geo Map. Ever wonder where and how many Starbucks there are exactly? This comprehensive map locates every single Starbucks site in a barangay, town, city, province, region, and in the whole country. You can even search for the nearest Starbucks like a good navigator you are. So if you love Starbucks and maps, download the Starbucks Geo Map. Now's the time to gear up your phone with the Starbucks mobile apps. Get them on Google Play. And don't forget to like Starbucks on Facebook. In an attempt to contain the spread of COVID-19, schools were temporarily closed. Students now learn from home. Demand for online learning resources shoots up. The question is, how much can you trust your information source? Fret not, for Starbucks is now online. Starbucks, or the science and technology, academic and research-based, openly operated kiosks, is an offline site with full suite science and technology information resources. Today, Starbucks has been tailored fit for you. The wealth of knowledge contained in the country's first S&T offline digital library in a box, now accessible online. Accessing information in Starbucks Online is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Go to the Starbucks Online portal via www.starbucks.ph. 2. Sign up by clicking the upper right portion of the main page. You will be directed to the login page. Click Sign Up here and key in your details. 3. Click Submit and you're on your way to enjoying Starbucks Online. Imagine a mountain of learning resources, and there is Starbucks, a beaming gold on the internet scene. Contains tons of STI information that are fun, legit, and easy to dig. From S&T news, to agriculture, to livelihood, and up to disaster preparedness. Say it! Starbucks has it! Try Starbucks Online and take advantage of this free, full suite, and fingertip-ready access to the brightest Starbucks yet. Visit Starbucks Online portal now and be at the forefront of science and technology information. Get to know Starbucks more. Like our Facebook page.
Let's put ourselves in the loving presence of the Lord. Dear Almighty and ever-loving God, we glorify and thank Thee, your name. You have showered us with so much blessings, and your presence continually reminds us of your faithfulness and guidance. We humbly ask you to shower our speakers today with your greatest inspiration, so that they may share the most of their knowledge, heart, and soul to their respective topics. May we also absorb the invaluable knowledge, experiences, and put it into practice what we may learn today. We pray that you bless us all the committees in charge that they may be able to fulfill their task responsibly, that the objectives they have set may all be achieved. Your infinite blessing would be in the success of this webinar. May we be a living witness of your genuine love through the enactment of the knowledge acquired through this activity. We ask this in the presence of our Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen.
Okay, you may now be seated. So welcome everyone to this webinar session entitled How to Speak in the Digital Age and Capture the Limelight. This webinar is related actually to public speaking. So allow me to introduce myself. I may be familiar to some of you. I am Irene Alice Brillo. I'm Igorot from Kabayan Benguet. Hulhigay nagmakaanta, imugawak. Di malabahan ni Bihokol. Anak tuwak kung duro. Baka higatay am tayo. Pahad ni Madam, higatay namin. Mayat ni Madam, kangkong tan maptang dyan maasyam sang sikata dyan namin. Ayan. Why I use my language? Because the background actually of this rerun of this webinar is this is an initiative by our counselor, Sir Rolly. Ayan, pwedeng mag-wave, Sir Rolly. Ayan. So, Sir, we actually had this webinar last February 23, 2021. And this was attended by more than 1,500 participants via Zoom and FB Live. And we got overwhelming feedbacks from the audience. Most of them said the webinar is excellent. The speaker is great. And their final question actually was, how to be you po? Ayan. So this rerun happened with the initiative, katulad po ng sinabi ko, with the initiative of our Kabayan Counselor, Rolly Lindawan Wakit. Oh, sorry. Ang buong pangalan pala niya is Rolly Francis Lindawan Wakit. Ang haba, no? Okay, so last March, Kagawad Rolly sent me a message asking if we can organize a webinar session on public speaking for the teachers and other interested individuals in Kabayan. So he added that he was not able to see my post in his page about the previous webinar, so he did not immediately approve the posting. Naging busy daw sila. So I told him we have a topic that is related to public speaking, but with a twist because of the new normal. So I talked to my bosses, Ma'am Linder, our division chief, and of course our director about this, and they immediately approved. So this webinar was originally intended for Kabayan Benguet, but we decided to open it to other interested individuals because we actually received previous demands also asking when this topic would be rerun. So that's why we have here participants from PUP Bansod branch, ayan, from Cavite State University. We also have here our attendees this morning in our online library literacy program. So we had our first session this morning. They are from Arboleda National High School and others. Marami pa po. I'm sorry, I can't name you all. So we hope that this webinar will be of great help to you, just as it was with our previous audiences. So with me today, I'll just ask them to open their cam. So with me today, we have here Sir Elmer Henralao, our Science Research Assistant, and Sir Elmer, ayan. And then we have here our IT specialists, Mark Jason Season and Sir Rainer Zagada. Ayan, dalawa sila. And of course, we have here our very, very supportive director, Sir Richard Burgos. And again, Sir Rolly Francis Wakit. Ayan. Saglit lang po. I-check ko lang po kung nandito na po yung, because they, kanina po yung SP from Kabayan. So we will just check kung nakapasok po sila and we can put them as part of the panelists. Ayan, mukhang wala pa. May problema daw po kasi or mahina yata sa signal. Ayan, so anyway, they can join us later. Ayan, so now in order for us to have a smooth flow of this session, let me give you the following house rules. Okay, so this webinar will be recorded for documentation purposes, and the recording will be sent to your email addresses along with the e-certificate. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel at DOST-STII Library to watch the recordings of our past webinars. In asking your questions, kindly use the Q&A chat box. So meron po tayong Q&A button. For those who are using desktop or laptop, you can see that at the bottom. For those who are using mobile phones, you can see that at the upper right corner. Ayan. You may start posting your questions while the talk is ongoing. DOST-STII will provide an e-certificate of attendance to all participants who successfully registered and submitted their accomplished evaluation form. The e-certificate of attendance will be sent to the email address that you have provided in the evaluation form on or before May 13, 2021. Okay, so again, please expect your certificate on or before May 13, 2021. And finally, remember to be polite, pay attention, and actively participate. Okay, to formally welcome you on this webinar, let us hear a message from our Division Chief, Mr. Alan C. Taule, to be followed immediately with the video of 8 lessons of pandemic.
Thank you, Irene. Good afternoon, everyone. And it is my privilege to welcome our guests and participants comprising of students, teachers and professors, fellow library professionals, and professionals from the allied fields. Today, we have gathered virtually, that is, for the second session conducted under the DOST-STII Library Webinar Series, and this webinar holds much interest and promise, especially to those who continue to grapple with one of the new and emerging realities brought about by COVID-19 and the restrictions imposed to halt or mitigate its spread. I'm almost certain that we have all experienced being in a virtual meeting or asked to present our thoughts, ideas, lessons in a virtual environment. And then we find that the platform itself poses quite a number of unique challenges that we have little or no prior experience dealing with. In response, we at the Library Service of DOST Science and Technology Information Institute organized this webinar with the title, How to Speak on a Digital Stage and Capture the Limelight, to help you shine instead of flicker in the dark like a candle in the wind, as the old song goes. This webinar will be presented by no less than the director, our head of agency here at DOST-STII, Mr. Richard Burgos, who will bring to the fore his many years of experience in corporate and marketing communications. And I urge you pay close attention if you wish to become more adept, more confident, and thereby more successful in capturing the limelight in the digital stage. In general, this is the time for everyone to become more adept in using technology to communicate and collaborate. At a time when experts say that the speed of technological advancement rose dramatically due to the exponential demand for virtual contactless applications. Entire organizations across the world are now suddenly required to work remotely from home for an indefinite period of time. This unprecedented global event has made it more important than ever to face the challenges that come with being a part of a virtual team. This environment is forcing everyone and every institution, including government agencies, to adapt in ways that are unprecedented. If you are finding difficulties dealing with the virtual side of work, then this webinar is made for you. We hold that it is possible to work successfully within a virtual environment by communicating clearly to your audience to maintain and even increase our effectiveness. This webinar will show you how. Again, welcome to all our participants, and I hope we all have a lively, productive session. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat.
The year 2020 was definitely memorable. So memorable, in fact, that it had to be named twice, 2020. In this duality, many would consider it a year of the great upset when so much was lost: incomes, jobs, travel, even lives. But it could also be the year of the radical reset, as it became the fulcrum towards going more fully digital. The Science and Technology Institute of the Department of Science and Technology is one of the smallest of the 18 agencies of the department. Our budget is very small, a mere 0.48% of the entire DOST budget in 2020. Our regular plantilla is only 64, and yet, amidst the pandemic, we found out that with our little mandate to keep a science and technology library, to communicate science for the people, and to capacitate our stakeholders, that we actually have a big voice. Now, from the numbers, we realize it was not a bad year after all. We may have lost a lot in 2020, but we did not lose the lessons. In fact, we learned a lot. Here are the 8 lessons we learned from this most challenging environment imposed by the COVID-19 pandemic. Lesson number 1, in adversity, remember your friends. Early in the quarantine period, we realized that many of our media contacts and friends lost income opportunities and even their jobs. So we dug into our personal pockets to send them food packs. You know, the food packs were not even enough to feed them for a few days, but I am certain they created goodwill that will last for a long, long time. We organized a virtual memorial for one of them who passed away. And we engaged our friends in many virtual pressers and interviews so they can report stories on science and technology. We became very good at doing virtual meetings that, in fact, DOST-STII became the go-to team to assist other agencies of DOST in their initial virtual meetings and conferences. Lesson number 2, make size matter. We did not consider size a liability. Instead, we focused on our strengths. We leveraged our 2 major programs, Starbooks, a digital S&T library in a box, and DOST-TV, our broadcast program for radio, television, and online platforms. Both programs were included in the National Priority Plan of the National Economic and Development Authority for 2020. There were only 6 projects included in that list, and 2 are from our institute. Both programs, incidentally, are also digital natives. Starbucks was rolled out 10 years ago after digitizing the resources in DOST-STII's library. Once digitized, these valuable S&T content became more accessible and portable to users, especially in remote and economically challenged schools and communities. Now, on February 14, 2020, a month before the lockdown, the Department of Education signed a memorandum of agreement with DOST-STII, adopting Starbucks and including it in their Learning Commons. By December, 4,962 units of Starbucks kiosks have been deployed throughout the country. We developed 3 mobile apps last year to make Starbucks even more accessible on Android gadgets. And by year end, while our physical library facilities were shuttered by the quarantine, more than 2 million people accessed our contents online. DOST-TV, on the other hand, began live streaming in 2016 as a science and technology broadcast program. Eventually, it went on television via PTV4, GMA7, and GNN cable channel. We were also on Radio Pilipinas Uno. So we overcame the limitations of our size to produce results that matter for the Institute, for DOST, and for the whole country. Lesson number 3, identify your spokesperson and be heard above the din. DOST is a house of experts, but only 3 were designated official spokespersons for the department: Secretary Boy, Yusek Gev, and Yusek Rene. Now, having designated spokespersons makes it easier for the media and the public to relate with the organization, and also for the organization to have a source of information that is authoritative, credible, and reliable. For SecBoy, we created early in his term #ScienceForThePeople as the tagline of his administration. Today, more than 6,000 Facebook users are using the hashtag, helping us to get the Secretary's voice heard above the din. Lesson number 4, pivot. If at first you don't succeed, pivot. We do not need excuses even in disasters because we really need to deliver on our major final outputs. Agility is key to successfully communicate science with the people in a pandemic. We need to be able to recast our plans and programs to adapt to the shifting circumstances and capture new opportunities. Our broadcast programs with the networks were no longer tenable and had to be suspended because of quarantine restrictions. So, we immediately reverted to live streaming to keep the public informed. Eventually, the weekly DOST Report live stream became the platform for SecBoy to share the latest developments in S&T and for our media friends to pick their story leads. The annual National Science and Technology Week celebration had to be conducted entirely online for the first time in November 2020. Our social media campaign for people to participate in NSTW reached more than 1 million people, compared to a few thousands in previous editions. With influencers, we had almost 1 million views on TikTok. For our own internal learning and development programs, we also resorted to online courses and webinars and trained 91% of our staff. Lesson number 5. There is no longer any security of tenure in government service. It is performance that counts and continuous improvement that leads to quality management excellence. In the pandemic, we need to innovate, to go beyond the usual, to create greater value added. This became really more acute. To enhance our capability to perform and deliver on our mandates, We collaborated with partners who provided support in terms of additional resources, content, expertise, and their own networks. Lesson number 6, excel. Surprisingly, amid the pandemic, we harvested a good crop of recognition and awards. Starbucks and DOST were included in the 2020 National Priority Plan. DOST-TV received 3 anvils from the Public Relations Society of the Philippines. It also bagged 4 Gandingan Awards from UP Los Baños, including the most development-oriented radio TV online platform. And it was a finalist in 2 categories of the Catholic Mass Media Awards 2020. The Commission on Audit gave DOST-STII an unqualified opinion on our financial statements. This is the highest audit rating for a government institution. DOST-STII also maintained our 9001-2015 ISO accreditation with no nonconformities and 2 best practices. So, Pivot, Perform, and Excel became our PPE during the pandemic, enabling us to survive and even thrive through this most difficult period. Lesson number 7, monitor, evaluate, recalibrate. The pandemic underscored the need for data to drive our communication efforts. Our staff understand this, but we were also fortunate to engage external organizations to assist us in monitoring, analyzing, and reporting our media efforts and their impacts. They truly added value. They boosted our confidence and helped us win. In 2016, we had no benchmark to establish the national level of awareness about science and technology in the country. We established in 2017 that it was at the very low 6%. We determined to double that in 2018, and we got to 13%. This went up to 16% in 2019 and jumped 7 percentage points to 23% in the time of the pandemic. We delivered 1,045 promotion services and generated 1.5 billion pesos worth of media coverage. Lesson 8. Be grateful. We're still here. The most important lesson we learned from this pandemic is gratitude. It is the attitude that opens us up to the work of other people, to the needs of the community, to the divine dimension, in order to realize what is truly valuable in our lives and in our jobs, to enable us to receive more blessings and to begin the process of healing. We are grateful that our workplace is safe and clean and that no one got infected by the virus here. We are still here. And we are even more deeply committed now to communicate science for the people because it is what allows us to hope, to thrive, and to succeed. Thank you, and keep safe, everyone.
Okay, we hope that through the video, you were able to have a glimpse of who we are and what we do in DOST-STII. And with Sir Alan's message, we hope that we are even more excited to stay for the whole duration of the webinar so that we can learn to flicker just as he said. So, are we ready to listen? Kindly chat ready if you are. Tingnan natin kung may mag-chat ng ready na sila. Okay, so are you ready to listen? Okay, so you are. Okay, indeed, you are. Okay, one of the in today is speaking in the digital stage or digital platform, especially for teachers who are conducting online classes or lessons and for those who are giving out presentations. So I believe this is already part of the new normal, the setup of using the digital platform. And for me as a librarian who is not usually facing numerous audiences, I always have this anxiety when I am faced with the number of audiences. So I am not so confident with myself. Well, maybe because I'm not really exposed to large audiences. Now, before we show the video presentation, may I remind everyone that you can start posting your questions using the Q&A button while the talk is ongoing. Our resource speaker will be joining us live for the Q&A session. For those who are asking about the evaluation link, this will be posted just before the webinar ends. Only those who will successfully accomplish our evaluation form will be provided with a certificate. And we would like to, at this juncture, we would like also to acknowledge the presence of our of the Kabayan Local Government Unit. Thank you for joining us this afternoon, headed by Vice Mayor Damsis. Okay. Now, let me introduce to you our speaker for today. A seasoned communicator with over 35 years of progressive responsibility in large international, multinational, and national organizations for such areas as corporate communications, public relations, marketing, broadcasting, brand management, corporate social responsibility, corporate governance, risk management, events management, publications, speechcraft, and general office management, Director Richard P. Borges exhibits a keen appreciation of the role of effective communications and collaboration at the processor, individual contributor, team, and leadership levels within a connected, globalized environment. He brings this appreciation to create added value to the organizations that he works for, including the International Crops Research Institute for the Semi-Arid Tropics, an international research for development center based in Hyderabad, Telangana, India. Enchanted Kingdom, some of the world's leading IT companies such as IBM, HP, and Sun Microsystems, the Department of Science and Technology, and the University of Negros Occidental Recoletos, where he began his career as a Spanish language instructor. Along with being the director of the Science and Technology Information Institute of DOST, he is an active member of the International Public Relations Association, or IPRA. He is a volunteer for the NGO Bahay Tuluyan and supports programs to help blind children acquire computer literacy skills through Resources for the Blind Incorporated and Adaptive Technology for the rehabilitation, integration, and empowerment of the visually impaired. So with pride and honor, we would like to show you this video presentation of Director Richard P. Borges.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. And I see a lot of people joining our call, and they're from all over the Philippines, from as far north as Cagayan, to as far south as General Santos. It's really such an exciting time to come together. I see that there are more than 500 people in our Zoom meeting and more than 790 people attending or looking at our Facebook Live feed. All right, so okay, so let me share with you in the next few minutes an overview of how we can be able to communicate using the digital stage that is now thrust upon us. Okay, so I don't know if especially our Filipino friends are here. I don't know if you recall this personality. Do you know her name? You can write down in the chat room. What is her name? She was the quintessential, iconic representation of the stern librarian, okay? Unfortunately, Meli Tagasa, all right, Miss Tapia, popularly known, passed away in 2018. And I think her passing also signified that, hey, librarians are not really like Miss Tapia. Our librarians today are young, they are professional, and they are so knowledgeable and excited to be not only collectors of books, but also brokers of information. So we welcome our new librarians to this call, and I think people who are working in libraries or using libraries make up more than 70% of our audience, all right? So, and to all our friends, you know, coming from as far away as Dubai, there's an Indian high school there, namaste to all of you, and Burundi also, right, represented here. So welcome to all of you, and let's frame this webinar within the context of what we just went through. And I referred to the elephant in the room, the big COVID-19 induced pandemic. What happened here, according to Satya Nadella, who is the CEO of Microsoft, the successor of Bill Gates, he said in April of last year, he noticed that we've seen 2 years worth of digital transformation in a matter of 2 months. So immediately it became necessary to do things online, okay? That's a challenge that still for many of us remains. But I think we have to move on. We have to adapt, and we have to make use of these new platforms with which we can communicate and share information like good librarians do. All right? So, okay, so you want to be effective speakers, okay? And you want to be on the digital stage, okay? All right, that's a great thing to want. But are you ready for it? Okay. I will not pretend that at the end of this webinar, you will all be like experts doing it. But let's just say that within the next few minutes, that we will have enough references and maybe build up enough confidence so that next time we are asked to speak on a digital stage, we will be able to perform our role with excellence and confidence. The role of the digital speaker is the same as the role of a teacher or a communicator. And it is basically to share information or maybe to persuade people to adopt a certain idea or practice or even product. It can also be to entertain others, just to have some fun times together, all right? Now, for today, our objectives are, well, number one, to explore, to get to know what is this digital public speaking as an emerging medium, all right? And we also want to strategize and learn what are the best practices so that we can effectively speak online. Thirdly, and this is something that should become personal for all our attendees, we should be able to prepare ourselves mentally to take on the role of a performer on the digital stage when required, all right? So, now, what do engaging performers on this digital stage use? I would like to refer to three things: the head, our hands, and our heart, okay? Like a good teacher or communicator, it all starts from the head too, you know? Everything that we know, everything that we have been trained to do, that's something already in our head. But getting this information, these messages from our heads to the heads of our audiences is a big challenge. There can be many things that could impede us from doing that successfully. So, but we are, I think, prepared to do this because we are trained to be librarians, to be teachers. We are good students, all right? And that's fine, okay? We are subject matter specialists. That should boost our confidence. Why? Because we have something to share. We have a domain that we we actually like master, and we can communicate that effectively. The other thing is our hands. And this has to do with how we perform on that stage, okay? Our hands are the manipulatives, okay? And our hands means that we're able to manage our presence using the tools that we have available for us. Do you know, for example, what are the key features of a Zoom room? All right. Do you know how to use the chat room? Nakita ko, I noticed that people actually use the Q&A feature in the Zoom meeting to share their names. Well, that's not really the place to do that. No? Maybe you can share your names and some greetings in the chat room. But Q&A is for questions. So meaning to say, we really need to be masters of this tool that is now made available to us. You know, there's one platform that became really successful and highly utilized during the pandemic. It is Zoom, all right? So we need to master Zoom and other similar platforms too, because other companies, other organizations prefer one platform over another for one reason or another. But the third part that we need to use is our heart, especially if you're on stage. This is where people see that you care for others, that you are able to establish relationships, and that you leave a lasting impression because, in a way, you have inspired your audience. This is the heart. So head is your intelligence quotient. It will get you your job. The hands, all right? That is your ability to perform, all right? That will get you probably a very satisfactory rating at work, but it is the heart at the end of the day that will get you your promotion. So, just some academic backgrounds, okay? Some models of communication theorists, okay? What happens in a communication situation is you have a sender, somebody who wants to communicate. It can be the librarian. He has a message, okay? But he needs to send this message across to another recipient, probably a student, a library user. But for him to do that, he has to encode this message, okay? And send it through a channel from which it is decoded before it is received by the recipient. Okay, this is the Shannon and Weaver model, 1948, just after the war. You know, the war actually gave rise to computers because there was a lot of, you know, codes and, you know, Morse code. Okay, those is one of the things that they used to communicate before. They kept things in secret. Okay, in fact, the Turing machine was actually a predecessor of the modern day computer because it was something that you coded instructions into, all right? So all of these things, the theorists at the time were thinking already along the lines of computing. But I think in general terms, it helps us understand that there are many participants in a communication process. Chiefly you as the sender, but also what is your message and where do you send it, the channel, and who is your audience, the recipient. Okay, let's not forget that framework, because in our checklist for effectivity, this should be considered as well. And then there's feedback, and that's why we're asking you to sign in a feedback form. No? Now, I'd like to highlight Marshall McLuhan because he in 1964, he came out with a book, Understanding Media, which I think is still relevant to us this day, okay? And he's famous for a few things like his message. The medium is the message, okay? So during the war, they used to send, you know, homing pigeons to transfer messages or codes from one area to another. Okay, so if you were using that medium, well, you had to learn how to raise pigeons, okay? So our medium is the message, and We shape our tools, and thereafter the tools shape us. Okay, that's a thing to think about. Now, the new electronic interdependence recreates the world in the image of a global image, a global village. Look at the world today. In the pandemic, we have really become a global village. Okay, we need vaccines, and everybody all over the world, like, will have to plow through it, negotiate their way to getting the vaccines to their localities. No, so thinking about trials and effectiveness or efficacy levels, that's a global issue. And everybody has a stake, something to say about it. Okay, so Marshall McLuhan, when he first came up with that hashtag, the medium is the message. Actually, the book came out with a typographical error. It said, the medium is the massage. And when they told him, sir, there was a typographical error, and he said, okay, go on with that. We can make use of that still because, after all, yes, the medium is the massage. The medium is what you will use to become more influential, to become more effective at communications. And thereafter, there were 4 ways to go about it. So you can either say the medium is the message, or the medium is the message, because sometimes we put ourselves unnecessarily into a big mess, all right? But it can also be, the medium is the massage, okay? It is what will temper your positions to make it more acceptable. Or it can also be the medium is the mass age, because especially now in the age of social media, everybody can say anything on their own platforms, okay? So things have turned around quite radically since then, okay? Now, online public speaking, also known as digital oratory, what is it? It is thesis-driven. You have something to say. It is vocal. Yes, people who have mastered their vocal powers actually have an edge here, because this is where you showcase, your ability to project, your ability to dramatize using your voice, okay? And it is a public address housed within new media platforms, okay? So there are new media platforms coming up almost overnight today, all right? But like all other public speeches, an online speech should be well prepared, organized, well reasoned, and well rehearsed. You just don't get on the stage without any previous preparation, right? Now, if you're worried already, well, just take comfort that, the expert in anything was once a beginner. We always need to begin somewhere, and it is practice that makes perfect. Enunciation, pronunciation, okay? Projection of your voice. All of these things you will become better at if you practice. Okay, so online speaking opportunities are not created equally. Each speech will have different goals, okay? So you can speak about anything that you are prepared to speak about. If you are a librarian, there are probably many things that you can share to your clients, okay? So our librarians, for example, because they cannot accept clients to the library anymore because of the lockdown, well, what they have done is they have conducted virtual library trainings or virtual library tours to students from various schools around the country. And I think that's a great show of their mastery of their science, okay? So, and they know what they want to say, and they know their audience, and that's why they can become very effective communicators, okay? So, if you're presenting a speech live, you're speaking synchronously. Synchronos, syn, the same, and chronos, time, this same time. So I'm speaking here, And I'm sure people in the Zoom room can hear me instantaneously. And those on Facebook can hear me almost instantaneously. There's a slight lag, but that's fine too. It's like almost instantaneously. However, you may also speak asynchronously. Meaning to say, I speak now, but like 5 hours later, somebody gets hold of the recording and he can experience my talk as if like he or she was actually attending this webinar, okay? So synchronous and asynchronous. Now, in synchronous speaking, what is nice is you can adopt face-to-face public speaking strategies, including live audience feedback. See, live audience feedback is when people applaud you, okay? That's fine in a face-to-face setting, but in a virtual setting, you may need to ask people to use the clap sign, all right? Or to say something congratulatory in the chat room, okay? In asynchronous speaking, you're able to control the content more easily because you can record it again. And if there's a technological error, you can still fix it, just like the 12-minute video you watched earlier about the 8 lessons we learned from the pandemic. That was recorded and you watched it now. That was given like January 28th. And now, like a month later, almost a month later, you're still learning the same lessons from the recording. Now, new media has expanded the audience pool for public speaking. I said, you know, more than 962 now watching us on Facebook and more than 500 on Zoom. Oh my God, that's more than any physical audience that we can ever handle inside our institute at any one time. Huh? So new media has created opportunities for us, okay? Traditionally, when you have a face-to-face meeting, you have a training session, yeah, 40 people to a class, that sounds really reasonable, okay? But now, it's live. You think in terms of multiples because the digital stage allows you to engage a much broader, a much wider audience. So if you're speaking publicly, physically, you know, your audience is right there before you. And you can count them. That's why they are discrete, no? You can count them individually. You can see the colors of their clothes. But in an online speech or performance, you may have a dispersed audience. And sometimes it's like you really feel like you're just talking to a monitor. Whereas in fact and in reality, you are engaging an audience that you do not necessarily see, okay? So let's take a look at some of the tools that you have to master when you are performing on the digital stage. The number one is your microphone. Now, tell me, in the gadget that you are using to access this webinar, where is your microphone? Do you even know where your microphone is? It's very important that you know where your microphone is to check that it is working. And also, you know, it is an appropriate distance from you, because if you come very close, then your sound will change. Or if you're too far away, people cannot hear you very well. So your microphone is a powerful tool. Make sure that you use it to your advantage, you know? So you need to sound good on stage. And the first thing you really have to check is the high quality of your microphone, all right? What do you need to do? That's why before this webinar, we really had to check our microphones. A sound check is important. We need to stamp out echo. Sometimes there are amplifiers or digitizers that produce a kind of echo to a recording. Now, we don't need echo when we have a webinar. Why? The simple reason is that we are not in a karaoke bar, okay? So do away with the echo. Now, Make sure you're not too close or too far from the microphone. As again, if you're too close, then you can be like deafening. Or if you're too far, you cannot be heard very well. If there's sound processing and it's distracting, don't use it anymore. But sometimes there are applications like Crisp that you can use to reduce background noise. Especially those who are using headsets, they can probably control that also. Now, the other thing to check is your internet connection because, hey, it's not always available and it's not always reliable, especially here in the Philippines, no? So make sure that you have a stable internet connection. If you're in a place where the signals are not good, move to another place where the signals are better. All right. So, because verbal delivery is key in a digital speech, then your vocals need to come to the fore. And we don't like you to be just a voice, all right, behind the slides, and your body is not visible to an audience, but your voice can carry a lot of meaning. So to be more effective, you have to practice and practice and practice to be perfect, okay? So record yourself, okay? This is a good advice. Record yourself on your smartphone or maybe on your iPad or laptop, okay? Or a computer. And don't keep that recording to yourself. Share it with your coach, your teacher, your mentor, your friend, your office worker, all right? So ask them for their opinion. Ask for their advice, their criticism. Then you can say, okay, this is an area I need to improve in. Be humble, no? Don't think that you are a superstar already. You're just starting here. So consult other people, okay? Ask for their honest opinion. They will tell you whether you are effective, you sound lively and full of energy, or whether you are flat or you're not interesting at all, okay? So some friends are really brutal about their comments. That's fine too. Now, sound and projection are variables that can affect your verbal delivery in digital contexts. Earlier, I was feedbacking to Irene because her microphone had some static. Static is a noise, and it can actually distract people from your key messages, and it can influence your credibility as a speaker and the likelihood that your audience will continue listening to you to the end, okay? So avoid noise, okay? And there can be many forms of noise when you have a digital meeting or presentation. The other tool that I want you to focus on is your camera. Now point to me where your camera is, okay? Just point it to me, okay? Because some people don't even know where the camera is, and that's why they're not looking at it. They're looking elsewhere or looking at their notes. When you look down on your notes, what do they see? They see your head. And in my case, you see that I have no more hair, okay? So I have HIV. Head is visible, all right? But the camera, what does it do? It's an optical instrument used to capture an image. And it uses light to capture that image, all right? Of course, now cameras are so well advanced, very advanced, they adjust themselves. They already capture the light, and they can actually manipulate how much light can be allowed into the picture. No? So what's visible in the video, how you really have to check, and that's why rehearsals, very important, because that's where you check, what is visible in the video. Remember, when people watch you from a monitor screen or from your laptop or iPad or even from your smartphone, they look at a rectangle, okay? And you have to know exactly what's happening, what's captured within that space, okay? What's visible in the video You need to be conscious that the camera presents you within that framework. So, where is the camera? How many cameras are there? Okay? If you see Corina Sanchez, one of our television personalities, sometimes they're looking at you here and then they turn and then because there's a second camera there, right? So that happens also. And we can do that also even in Zoom meetings. No? Now, be aware of those cameras because you have to maintain eye contact with your audience as much as possible. Don't lose that. All right, somebody's calling me. What is this? Hold on. Sorry about that. You see, that is what we call noise. I was making a presentation and somebody calls me, and the call came through to my phone as well as through to my iPad. So that's noise, distraction, unwanted. Take it away, right? Keep your eye contact though, because that is your link to your audience. Eye contact is still a very key part of a digital presentation. Now, how do you look good on the digital stage? Okay, because your camera is an optical device making use of light, you have to know your light conditions when you perform, okay? So, if you can, sit facing a big window in front of you, light in your face, okay? If that's not available, you can have artificial lighting. You can have, many lamps are now available. Ring lamps are very good, very, very portable and cheap, all right, available now. That's good too. Now, you also control your background, okay? Because people are so critical, what they see within the frame, sometimes they can make them laugh at you, okay? Now, the camera has to be positioned right. I prefer that the camera is just slightly above your eyes. Why is that? Because if you bring the camera down and you're looking down at the camera, what do they see? Your audience will see your eyes are half closed. They will even suspect you're sleeping already and you have not even begun your speech yet. So bring the camera a little higher above your eye line, okay? So that to your audience, you are bright and alive and energetic, ready to speak to them, okay? So just one trick, all right? The other one is fill the frame. Don't be too distant that you're only a tiny portion of your screen, nor too close that you suffocate the screen with your face, okay? Now, what do you wear when you are in a digital stage? Wear something appropriate for the occasion, okay? If it's an office meeting, wear something that is good for the office. So some office attire will require you to wear a collared shirt, for example, or a dress, depending on the culture of your office, right? So wear something appropriate. Now, wear something bright and solid. Solid colors work very well, except probably red, because red is a color on a digital platform or in front of a camera has a tendency to bleed. In other words, you know, it will look different, okay? And even white can become so resplendent, okay? It can reflect a lot of light. You will look like an angel if you have very bright lights and you wear white. Okay, wear something solid but another color. Now, remember also that there is a mute button. When you speak, you unmute yourself, okay? Sometimes it happens that in a conference or in a webinar, you forget that you are already speaking, but you have not unmuted yourself. That's another thing that you have to consider. Make sure You know what are the controls available to you, and use them to your advantage. Don't forget, your facial expressions are also visible in a digital speech. So those who are very adept at making themselves up using makeup, that's very good. But don't use evening makeup during a daytime presentation. So there's such a thing as appropriate makeup also, okay? But your facial expressions, okay? The way you engage your audience, okay? The way you smile, don't forget, you can also smile. Huh? They record how your message, and they imprint that message in the brains of your audiences. Now, check your background, whether it's messy or distracting. I will show you later a few examples of what is distracting background. All right, here we are in picture A, up there. Okay, what's distracting there? And probably seen this, no? It's an office conference, early morning. And then guy on the upper left corner, after the meeting is over, stands up, gets his coffee, and everybody sees his boxers, And the girl had to call him and tell him, hey, we're all watching you, okay? So be careful about what you show on your camera, because it can really be distracting. It can be messy, okay? In letter B, this is a digital background that is chosen, but I think it's not appropriate for the purpose of the meeting, okay? And it makes him look different and funny, right? In letter C, there's an inappropriate picture at the background of this guy attending a webinar. So people will tend to focus on that picture and what the farmer is doing to the cow, all right, instead of him as a speaker. Do away with distracting elements in your background. You can always fix your background. In letter D, this is it's a webinar, a meeting. And I think their teachers and their principal used an application which changed her face into a potato. But she didn't know how to get out of being a potato, so she remained a potato all throughout the webinar. Okay? So avoid that. If you have to use an application, make sure you master that application. All right. What about this one? In letter A, he is talking to a few CEOs of major companies. And all of a sudden, his pet jumps in front of him, okay? Now, that's a major distraction, even if many people love cats. Now, in letter B, what do you have here? A presenter, and you see it's very formal. He's dressed up for a formal presentation, but all of a sudden, his daughter, a young girl, comes through the door and greets him and asks him questions, and is followed by a younger boy. And the nanny, I think, is running after them and bringing them out of the door, closing the door. It's so funny looking, no? The letter C, okay, this is an early morning report. I think she is a newscaster, and she's talking in Spanish, making a report. And all of a sudden, the husband comes out in his briefs. Now, so that's something terribly funny. Okay, so if you use front light, look at the effect of light on your face. It just makes your face very clear, right? So we encourage you to employ appropriate light. Make it come from the front. Make it come from behind the camera, okay? Look what happens when the light comes from the back. Automatically, your camera will adjust itself and will darken your face. Now, not the kind of image that you want to project online, okay? So move your light or move yourself to face the light, or if your light is portable, move your stand or lamp in front of you, okay? You can also choose to put your lamp to one side and create what we call raking light, okay? In photography, this can be very effective. Okay. In fact, I also prefer it because when the light source is in front of you, sometimes it can hurt your eyes. And if you're staring at it for some time, yeah, you can have a headache at the end of your presentation. So I prefer, and this is my setup now. Look at what I have done. Okay. So I have a stand. My laptop is in front of me. I have a second lamp, a smaller lamp to my left, but my ring lamp is to my right, both on the side, not in front, okay? Because this creates raking light. So the effect is, it's not full front, but it's still very helpful, and it actually helps contour your face. It gives a lot more details about how you look on that stage, okay? And look, I have my notes in front of me. I can actually write down notes. This is a very convenient setting, okay? See the light effect, raking light effect. Now, some more tips. Are you still with me? I hope you are. Okay, so during the webinar or web conference or your presentation, make sure that you will not be interrupted. There's so many things that can happen. If you want to take down notes, keep them at hand. You can also keep a glass of water because hydration is part of is key. I think you can think better if you are hydrated. So keep things within reach. If you can be seen, use the technology to your advantage so that you are not an entirely disembodied voice talking over slides, okay? You have to be seen, okay? Now, practice, walk through, make sure your camera is working well, and picking up your voice. Clothing, we've talked about that, and be conscious of your lighting. Light should be coming from behind the camera. So, at the end of your performance, you need to check, was my thought process okay? Did I detail my speech in a way that could be easily understood? Did I perform on that stage well? And lastly, did I leave a positive impression on my audience? Did I even inspire them? Did they learn something new from me today? So that's a very good checklist at the end of your presentation. So as digital public speaking is evolving, I hope that these tips and tactics can help you not just avoid major problems, but also cross the finish line to an effective presentation. Okay. There, we have learned about pivoting, performing, and excelling. Pivot, you cannot do things face-to-face, you do things online. Perform, yes, you still need to perform. If it's a digital stage, you still need to perform on that stage. The third one is excel. You have to be the best. Why? It's a privilege to be presenting on the digital stage. So PPE, pivot, perform, excel, that will be your savior in the pandemic. And that will ensure that you will not only thrive, but you will survive through difficult times. Now, let me show you some examples of great speakers. Probably you didn't know about them, no? But in 2020, leadership speakers were the following. I don't know if you know any of them. I know Pocholo, he's been a voice master. And I know Jesse, he's used to be with Inquirer, he's a good friend, all right? And he has a program on the new channel, okay? So there are other people, and they come from different backgrounds. Some are into sales. So Joey Garcia is the owner of Rai Rai Ken restaurant, the Japanese restaurant group, okay? And there are sales people. Now, who are the 50 most popular social media influencers in 2020 in the country? I'm sure you know some of them, okay? Number one there, in fashion, okay, Catriona Gray. In travel, it's Trisha Gosingtian, okay? And in food, there's Erwan Yusuf. And for entrepreneurs, there's Kim Jones. All of them No? Coming from different backgrounds, but still being very influential because people follow them. People like and share what they're sharing with their audiences. And that's how some of these celebrities have thought it well to like monetize on their popularity and their celebrity status. Okay, so I don't know if you know, but look at the pictures that they use for their promotionals. Let's see. They make very good use and very effective use of light. Who are the top 10 Instagram influencers in the Philippines? Last year, number one is somebody you all know with 15.8 million followers on Instagram, Ann Curtis. Okay? She can even monetize that. And there's Pia Wurzbach, Catriona Gray, and many others. Okay. Oh, isang lang lalaki of the 10, there's only one guy here, James. Okay? And in Twitter, look, see, nare-reflect din sila in Twitter. Ann Curtis with 13.9 million followers. Jose Marie Visceral, Vice Ganda, okay? Also 13.9 million followers, okay? Fastest growing include Alex Gonzaga, okay? Again, there's Ann Curtis there. Now, I'd like you to, if you have time, to listen to some of the best TED Talks in the Philippines. This was an earlier list in 2016, but they're still very, very interesting speeches. These are recorded speeches, but it can be, put yourself in their situation when you make a speech. TED Talks are designed so that you can explain a radical idea, an idea that can change people's lives in less than 18 minutes. That's all you have to explain yourself, okay? So it's a very interesting concept, and it can be a challenge for us too, right? So take a look at this. I will share this video with you, and you can do this in your spare time, okay? I will end here, and I really want to thank all of you for joining us today. I don't think listening to me over 45 minutes or so will make you an expert, but this is just the beginning of a journey that you personally can take to become a more effective speaker, a more effective presenter on the digital stage. You can pivot, perform, and excel, and I wish you all the best in the days ahead. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Okay, so I believe that we have learned so much from the talk. These strategies presented can actually be applied in both public speaking via digital platform or in face-to-face audiences. So in any talk that we will do, whether virtual or face-to-face, let us not forget to use our head, our heart, and our hands. And finally, let us leave a positive impression to our audiences. Okay, so before we proceed to the Q&A portion, let me remind everyone that the webinar evaluation link will be posted just before the webinar ends. Only those who successfully finish the webinar and accomplish the evaluation form will be provided with certificates. For this webinar, please expect your certificates on or before May 13, 2021. Our working days are from Mondays to Thursdays. So 4 days po kami, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. So we work 10 hours a day, and we are a very small team. So we ask for your patience. Okay. We shall now proceed to the Q&A portion. Okay, we have here with us Sir Richard. Ayan, so far, wala pong question. Wala po ba kayong tanong? Last time we had so many questions like, how do you, or what can you advise for someone who has, paano ba yung pagkasabi niya? Sabi niya, meron kasi kaming kasama sa trabaho na mahirap kausapin. Something like that. Ayan, so paano daw siya kakausapin? Ayan. Okay, sir, director, would you like to say something? Sir Richard, ayan. Sir, naka-mute po kayo. Would you like to say something, sir? Naririnig pa ako ni sir. Sir Richard? Hi, sir. Sir, can you hear me? Walang reaction si sir. Hi, Sir Richard, can you hear me? Sir Richard, wait, let's see.
Hello.
Ayun.
I can hear
Okay,
you.
sir.
Yes.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Okay. Sir, would you like to say something? Wala pa pong nagbibigay ng question or nagpo-post ng question. So, would
Bakit
you like to say?
kaya? Bakit
Oo nga,
kaya?
sir. Meron na, sir. Okay, we have
Okay.
one. But before we start, would you like to say something muna or diretso na tayo sa Q&A?
So go ahead. What is the question?
Okay. So this question is from Miss Arajanela S. Raimundo. The question is it true that in public speaking, how you deliver the message is more important than the message itself?
I think what is going to be really important is how you are received or perceived by your audience, right? And that can be largely influenced by how you deliver your message. Because really the measure of success is your recipient of your message, okay? So if the recipient receives the message correctly, accurately, and is inspired by your sharing, then I think you would have been successful. There's so many things that we can do very well on our own. But again, there are noises that can come along the way that will stop your audience from receiving you and perceiving you as well as you wanted them to. So again, the metric for success is really how effective you were as perceived by your audience. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Next question from anonymous attendee. Hi, Sir Richard. What do you think is the most essential thing that we must consider in delivering our message to a public platform?
All right.
What do you think is the most essential thing?
All right. A most essential thing, there are many essential things, as we have discussed earlier. Number one, yourself. Are you prepared to do it? Did you practice? Are you the master of your subject area? Okay. That requires you to have done your homework. Okay. If you're not ready, ask somebody else to speak. Okay. The other thing is master the tools that you are using. If you're using a digital portal, for example, or a Zoom meeting, make sure you understand Zoom well enough. You are proficient in using the technology and you can maximize their features, right? Also, you can even make use of teaching aids, your background presentation materials. I mean, that contributes a lot to your success. So make sure you have thought through the process and executed well. Remember our PPE, all right? Pivot, perform, and excel, okay? And that is really what is going to tide us over in this pandemic. So many things are essential
if one thing is missing, that can bring you down in the rating scale. So make sure you have a checklist and you tick them off that list as you prepare yourself. No? So it's not a one bullet thing. There are so many things at play when we talk. All right? Pag nag-brown out ka, ano mangyari sa'yo? Okay, and that is totally beyond your control, right? But everything runs on electricity. So, kung hindi ka nag-isip ng alternative solution, right? Maybe using the battery of your phone, okay? Kasi hindi ka naka-diretso sa lines. Make sure that your battery, your phone is charged so you can use your phone just the same. So, some other things that we need to think about, no?
Okay, thank you, sir. Next question. So questions are popping. We have here, it's not actually a question, but it's a statement from Christian Lasbakan. In a normal public speaking or face-to-face setup, we can easily adjust our way of delivering when we see reaction of the audience. However, it is really hard to do that in virtual. Do you agree, sir?
I do agree. That's very on point. However, as I said, if you practice well enough, if you consult with your friends, if you are effective in delivering your message, then you can also acquire the same level of confidence that you will be effective with your audience, digitally or virtually. No? So practice makes perfect. And if you're humble enough to accept criticism, constructive criticism from your friends, especially, your friends can tell you the most devastating news because they know you will accept the devastating news in whatever form. No, so make sure that you practice, you consult others, and that should give you a good idea of how effective you will be.
Okay, so pwede din sir magpa-critic when we practice and then we ask somebody to critic us, pwede din po yan.
Yes, of course. So,
okay, next question we have here from Miss Mavis Balikid. Miss Mavis is actually my cousin, so thank you for joining this afternoon. Hello po. There are times I get nervous in the middle of my presentation. Could you give me some tips in order to overcome this?
what happens in the middle of the presentation?
She gets nervous though po, sir. She gets nervous in the middle.
Right.
Yes.
All right. Nervousness is a physical reaction to stress. All right. So if you understand your stress, you get yourself physically ready before you even speak. And what do I mean by that? I mean, to physically shake off your stressor, you can do that. Physically shake it off. Move your fingers like so, jump up and down. You walk a little bit, so you work up on the energy to speak, and you dissipate the tension that's building up within you. Okay. Another good trick I find is drink a glass of water, but not too much that you may need to get out of the camera when you're delivering your speech because you have to go to the restroom. Just drink a little water, okay? Hydration helps you think clearer, all right? So make sure you are sufficiently hydrated, okay? And if you have done your homework, I think the confidence will just come out and you will be able to deliver very well, okay?
Okay, thank you, sir. I think this next question is related to that. What can you advise to avoid the dead air moments and be confident from the talk? This is from Lance Jubert Tamayo. Okay.
Dead air. Dead air can happen anytime. Dead air is when you have nothing more to say. Dead air can also happen when your audience has nothing more to say. Okay? So we don't want dead air because many other things can come in to fill the dead air. Now, if you're a quick thinker, you can make that space, that dead time, to your advantage. by reinforcing your key messages, just summarizing 1, 2, 3. All right. We have talked about this so far, and making sure that everybody gets it. For the more proficient public speakers, they can make use of dead air to deliver a joke. All right. But you have to be very good at it. You have to practice a lot to make sure that your punchline delivery is on cue. All right? And appropriate. Kasi pag mali yun, naku, wag ka na lang isa. All right? So, dead air can also be used to, let's say, talk a little bit more about the webinar, why you are doing it, and maybe to thank the people who are organizing it. You continue speaking and you are delivering messaging which is still related to your topic. Okay? Dead air can also be used to engage your audience more, asking questions. Okay? When you ask a question, an answer is expected, and the people will be at the edge of their chair wanting to respond to the question. Okay? And so that can be an effective way to go about dead air. Okay? But sometimes dead air is also good. Sometimes dead air can be pregnant with expectation. Okay? So when you have set the stage and then everybody is quiet, dwell in that quiet moment, because that is when sometimes our messaging becomes ever clearer. You know? So use it for your advantage.
Okay, thank you, sir. So, marami palang advantages din yung dead air, ano po? Okay, additional question from Sir Lance. How can you sustain the audience interest from listening to your talk, sir?
Sustain. Okay. This is where I said earlier, you know, practice makes perfect. People will sleep if you speak like a drone. 10 minutes of that, people will just doze off. So try to vary your tone, okay? And this takes practice, you know? The rise and fall of your voice. Sometimes you speak in whispers, but sometimes you also have to like emphasize key points and your actions, your hand gestures. You know, we have very limited space, but people see my hands, and my hands, I can use these to emphasize what I am saying, okay? So there are many things that you can do to keep your audience engaged and listening to you, okay? On a virtual platform, there are many tricks that you can do. You can ask a question and they can respond to it in the chat box, okay? So that engages them, that forces them to do something with your question and input into the chat box. So that can be very interesting. Or raise the hand. There's the hand icon that you can use just to make sure that they're following you, okay? So those are a few things that you can use if you and they become convenient, especially if you have mastered the features of your digital platform.
Okay, thank you, sir. We have here from anonymous attendee. Can you give us an effective tip? Parang related dito sa mga nauna. Can you give us an effective tip in order to overcome or alleviate stage anxiety?
Anxiety, butterflies in your stomach, right? The cold sweat that comes out just before you are thrust in the public eye. I've given a few tips earlier, you know, do something physical, shake it off. You can even jump up and down, but away from the camera, you know. So you do that in your private space. Yes, it happens. As I said, you know, it's a physical reaction to stress. And even the most seasoned speakers also experience that, you know. But when they come in before the camera, okay, they are ready. It seems like they did not feel the butterflies in their stomach anymore. But that's because they have overcome the physical reaction to the stress. Okay, speaking in the public eye is really stressful. Okay, because lalo na ngayon, ang daming bashers dyan. Anything you say or do, whatever is in your background, can be a reason for them to bash you. And that can give you a lot of anxiety, yes. But again, if you did your homework, if you're the expert in your field, okay, you should be more confident. You just go out there and shine, capture the stage and shine.
Okay, so capture the stage and shine. Okay, this is, I think, related also from Miss Rita Domase. Rita, salamat tinay dumanyo. Sir, any advice to cope up with stage fright and ito sir, dagdag niya, camera shyness.
Camera shyness. Okay. The way to go about camera shyness is to be friend with your mirror every day. You know, before you leave for your office or for you, even the palenque, you should look at your mirror. Okay? Do you like what you see? Then you have no problem facing the camera if you like what you see. What do other people say about what you see? You have to ask them too. Do they like what they see? If they do, then go ahead, you know, conquer the world. Okay? So a lot of these mental blocks are created by our own self-image. Okay? I think that self-image will be sharpened, will be clarified even more the more we practice, the more we prepare ourselves, the more we become efficient and effective in our delivery of our key messages. That comes with practice and humility to ask for feedback, you know? So again, look yourself in the mirror and what do you see? If you are ready, go for it.
Okay, so it would be nice to carry your mirror along with you anywhere you go, so that you don't have to run to the restroom for the mirror. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting question from Rose May. Sir, dapat po ba magaling sa English for us to do public speaking?
Hindi po, hindi naman kailangan English lang lahat, di ba? Ang number one requirement is dapat maintindihan ka ng audience mo. So kung audience mo, hindi naman sila very comfortable with English, use the language they are most comfortable in. Dapat comfortable ka rin doon para magkaintindihan tayo. Diba? So, English has its many uses. I mean, it's an official language. So if you're good in English, that's an added advantage for you. But to be effective, you have to use the language of your audience. Okay. So what good is your English if you are speaking to Spaniards, for example? The Spaniards hardly speak English at all. Okay. So your English, kailangan mo pang translator dyan. Merong running text dito. Okay. So in fact, it could be a liability. Okay. So depende yan sa audience mo. Okay. English for people who appreciate, understand English, that's fine. Okay. Make sure that your English is also correct.
Okay, thank you, sir. So if you are in a region where they don't really speak English, you better adapt to their language or to the language that they can understand. Again, so we have here a question from Ma'am Judith May Justiniano and Aaron Lubis. Magka-tugtong po kasi sila. So what advice or technique can you give if one of your audience asks you a very personal question and is out of the topic? Same kay Aaron. How can we handle difficult questions or people who are asking irrelevant questions?
You don't have to answer all questions, all right? Number one, in the interest of time, you focus on the topic that was assigned to you, all right? Number two, personal questions have no place in a public speech. You can take that offline and you can tell them, okay, I will answer that question offline. I will meet with you, but you pay for the coffee, okay?
Okay. So next, ito din, I think this is also, this sometimes happened to me. How do I overcome a tendency to say and although it is normal as a human to do this, but does it really affect how we deliver the message?
Correct. So these verbal spacers, I call them, very common yet, very common. Okay, so the key here is to be aware if you use them too much. Okay. In fact, for those of you who may have been familiar with Toastmasters clubs, it's a public speaking kind of club. So they help each other speak better in public. There's usually somebody who is assigned to be the enumerator. So ang gagawin lang niya, bibilangin niya how many times a speaker says or okay? Why is it important to avoid this? Because it gives the impression that you are tentative, that you're still processing mentally your message, okay? And that's not very good, okay? It shows that you are not sure. It shows that you're not confident. It shows that you did not prepare ahead of time, okay? Because you're still processing in your mind what you're about to say, okay? So let's avoid and okay? They paint a bad picture of you as a speaker, okay? Especially if you have written down your presentation or your speech, okay? And you are reading, you have no reason to say or okay? Parang spacer lang yan. Tanggalin natin yan. Edit them out, okay? And you will come out more forceful, more confident, more knowledgeable. Yun pong effect niya.
Okay, thank you, sir. We have here a question from Sir Jonathan. He said, barriers to communication like noise and slow internet connection is inevitable, especially in an educational academe in the Philippines nowadays. What could be the best way to do as a teacher to make sure that students receive the information accurately?
All right, so how can they retain the information accurately? Number one, you should have delivered the information very well and accurately. Pag nagkamali ka doon, i-replicate nila yung kamalian mo. Okay? So make sure that your messaging is correct. Di ba? There are many ways to check. That's why meron kang post-evaluation or meron kang test. Di ba? You can actually test whether they appreciated your presentation and they're able to understand it and express it in their own words. No? So teachers know how to do that. Okay?
Thank you, sir. And okay, next one.
I'm in
I
a
think
webinar.
some of the questions
Sorry.
were already answered, although they were wait, so although they are their words or how they were posted were different, but the message is the same. So I think the answers were already given a while back. And then ito naman, since Sir presented about the background, may question si Sir Mark Carada. Sabi niya, which is better, natural or digital background?
What is the question?
Sir, which is better daw po, digital or natural background?
All right. So I think it's always better to have natural background. Like I purposely set this angle for my background today. I am at home, as you can see. All right. And I want to highlight certain parts of my home. Okay. So nothing is within the frame that I am not happy to share with you. Okay. Including my altar there and a portrait of me and my mom. Kasi nga, sinasabi nila, tama talaga yun eh. Nung maliit pa ako, mami ko, nag-alala sa akin pag nagkasakit ako. Right? Nung nagka-COVID ako, lahat, buong mundo, nag-alala sa akin. Pati na rin ang City Hall. So yung mayor namin, ate ko na siya, yung congressman namin, kuya ko na siya. Alright? So, kakaiba, di ba? So, there's something deliberate about setting up our stage, our backdrop. The disadvantage of having a digital backdrop is sometimes when your system is not very high resolution, when you move, parang may shadow na gumagalaw sa likod mo, di ba? So hindi siya sharp, di ba? However, a digital backdrop, especially kung uniform, kung lahat ng speakers ay gumagamit ng digital backdrop, it would seem like all of you are participating in one and the same event, all right? So, okay rin siya, but just make sure, number one, yung light mo, because if your light is deficient, then your image will also move. I mean, it's not nice to look at, no? So, dapat sufficient yung lighting mo. Okay?
Okay.
Yun.
And then,
I
sir,
hope
we have
that helps.
this from an anonymous attendee, sir. Sabi niya, do public speaking courses work?
Come again? Nawala ka. I can't hear you anymore.
Ay, sorry. Okay. Sabi niya, sir, do public speaking work?
Public speaking?
Public speaking courses work? Courses, sir.
Or
Courses,
public
sir.
speaking courses will work. Why?
Yes, sir.
Because they will train you
Yes,
to
sir.
do it and do it again. Okay? That's what public speaking courses do. You don't start from a major speech. You start with, let's say, introducing yourself. Who is the master? Who knows yourself better than yourself? Diba? So wala kang kailangang extra preparation dyan. When you introduce yourself, I mean, given a few minutes, okay, you should be able to highlight what are your key characteristics, what are your strengths. Nobody will know you better than yourself, okay? And usually people start public speaking courses like that, introducing yourself. Wala nang ibang master about yourself than yourself. Now, people still flounder, no? Kasi hindi organized yung thoughts nila. Nag-umpisa sila sa college, tapos bumalik sila sa high school, then bumalik sa kinder. I mean, medyo walang flow, di ba? So a little bit of preparation, okay, time before you speak, to organize your thoughts in a way that is easy to appreciate or parang may logic, okay, ang flow ng presentation mo, that can help. And that is what public speaking courses will emphasize. Diba? The best part about public speaking courses is that you have a mentor who is there to help you along, who is there to criticize you also, but constructively, okay? At the end of the day, what the teacher, the mentor wants to happen is that you improve on your skill sets. And since this is a skills training, kailangan talaga gawin at gawin muli.
Okay, so it helps. It really helps. Okay, next we will be entertaining just 3 more.
All right.
Most of the common worries in public speaking is when we worry if we will be able to deliver an effective speech to our target audience. This largely affects our mindset and probably our stage presence. If you were to choose eloquent speech or a sincere and more heartfelt one?
I will choose an eloquent speech that is also heartfelt. Okay? If you can bring in the elements for success, bring them all in, okay? Your audience will be looking for inspiration, definitely. So find a way to inspire them, okay? Your audience will also be looking for maybe additional knowledge. Make sure that you have organized your facts before you impart them, okay? And it will make it easier for your audience to appreciate that. So Let's not dichotomize. Let's be synthetic. Bring it all together and deliver to the best of your ability.
Okay. Then next one, still from an anonymous attendee. Hello po, good afternoon. How about mannerisms? How can we lessen or avoid mannerisms in delivering speech? Mannerisms daw, sir.
Mannerisms. I'm sure may video camera ka dyan. Okay? You to record yourself delivering your speech. Pati ikaw mismo malalaman mo kung meron kang mannerisms. Sometimes there are para bang inconspicuous. But for an audience which is very critical, sometimes a little twitch in your face, for example, especially if that happens too often enough, that can become a distraction. That can become noise. Diba? They will focus on the twitch in your face. I mean, by twitch, I mean, sometimes, may mga extra movements dyan na paulit-ulit. That can be highlighted in the perceptual field of your audience. And they can take it against you. So my advice is, practice, record yourself, and you be your own critic. Now, you can also share the recording with other people who are close to you, who you think will provide you positive feedback, constructive feedback. Okay, so don't be afraid of constructive feedback.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we have actually heard that several times. We need to be prepared with constructive feedbacks. Ayan. And last question po. Sabi niya, sir, from Jaisai, based on your experience, what do you think is the best indicator that you deliver your speech well? Some people are faking or pretending that they are attentive just to show respect to your presentation.
Well,
best indicator now, sir?
Yeah, respect is a very good indicator. If at the end of the day, they're still listening to you out of respect more than anything else, I think you can count that in your favor. You have gained their respect. And I think that is a very important achievement. Okay. So, as again, I said, for teachers, they have ways to find out if their instruction is effective. Okay. But for public speakers, right, especially in the digital stage where you're not directly looking at the reactions of your audiences, maybe an evaluation form can be prepared ahead of time. And before you give out your certificate of participation, make sure that the participants actually fill out the forms. This is really to guide the speaker more than anybody else. Okay, so I think we're all learning from this experience together, and I'm so happy to join you today. I'm sorry I have to join you from my home because I just been out of the hospital. I'm still recovering from COVID. It was a terrible, scary experience, but whatever the virus brings, there's nothing that our powerful and merciful God cannot overcome. So let's stay careful and ever grateful. And on that note, I want to say I'm so grateful I have met Kagawad Rolly. Okay, personally, it was a very, let's say, memorable day or night when we passed by Kabayan on our way to a regional Science and Technology Week celebration further down in the Cordilleras. But it was Kagawad Rolly who prevailed upon us to spend the night in Kagawad because there are many dangers on the road. We didn't realize this, but in hindsight, his advice was so good, and we are so grateful. No? So hanggang ngayon, so kaibigan ko na si Kagawad Rolly dyan sa Kabayan, and I hope to come back there one day when all of this is over. All right? So you see, there is there are some things that the lockdown cannot stop. All right. And one of those things is our kindness to our fellow human beings. We cannot stop that. We can continue to be kind and generous, okay? Yung mga community pantries that are sprouting, supportan natin yun. They're acts of mercy too, So on that note, I want to thank all of you for your time and your participation. Okay, I hope you gained something from this short interaction and that you are going away with more confidence in your ability to speak on the digital stage and to capture the limelight, because now you know how to do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. And again, thank you so much, everyone, for your active participation. Now, let me ask you the final question. And this I learned from Sir Director. The one who will shot the correct answer will have a 100 peso worth of loan. Galing kay Sir Eto. What is the most difficult part of public speaking? What is the most difficult part of public speaking? Parang teacher, no? Yan. So, pakichat lang po yung sagot nyo. The one who will get the correct answer will be provided with 100 peso worth of loan. Tingnan natin kung may makasagot. Okay. Director, here are the answers. Message caught the attention of the audience. Delivering of speech. Not knowing about your topic. To capture the audience engagement. How to face audience is the most difficult part. Lack of audience noise. Okay, since wala pong nakasagot ng tama, okay, nandito pa si Sir Richard. Baka nag-break muna. Okay, Sir Richard, would you like to say the answer?
Ikaw na, Irene.
Okay, I learned this from Director. The most difficult part of public speaking is when you don't have your public.
True, tama talaga yan.
So it was meant to be a joke, but it's actually true. Okay. Okay, yun. Thank you so much. So at this point, okay. Walang nakatama, no? Okay, walang may load. Okay, so at this point, I would like to invite everyone to our online library literacy program. Ayan po. So we actually conduct online library literacy program where we give orientation on how to navigate our system, the library system, how to access our library collection, and also our star books, our digital library in a bag. So our star books is both accessible offline and online. Ayan. And this is intended for schools or groups with a minimum participants of at least 50. In this program, we encourage our teachers and librarians to get in touch with us. You can send us an email of your intention to request for the online library literacy program. Okay, so kindly help us spread the word. Now, finally, ayan, nagtatanong na sila ng evaluation link. Okay, finally, here is the evaluation link. Okay, you may take a screenshot, and if you cannot accomplish the form today, you can accomplish it until Thursday, 5 p.m. So Thursday, 5 o'clock p.m. Again, only participants who successfully accomplish the evaluation form will be provided with e-certificate. Make sure that your name is correct together with your email address. We will be sending your e-certificate along with the recordings of the webinar within 10 working days starting tomorrow. This means that you expect to receive your certificate on or before March 13, 2021. May I remind everyone of our office hours? So we work from Mondays to Thursdays, that's 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. So in case you have accomplished the feedback form but have not received your certificate after May 13, kindly send us a message through our Facebook page indicating your complete name and email address. Yeah, so you can just copy this one in your browser. I'll also be posting the link in the chat box. Okay, while the rest are answering the evaluation form, may I request all the panelists to open your cam and we will have a photo op. Okay, nasa chat box na po yung ating link, evaluation link. And may I request po, Sir Rolly, yung ginagamit po na account ng LGU, Kabayan LGU, pwede ba silang mag-open ng cam?
Yes, ma'am. Sige po. Yes, yes.
Or they join nyo na lang, sir, sa likod nyo. Kasi nawala sila. I think there's a problem with the signal.
Yeah, we're having a problem with the signal. So, actually had my
you can
camera on my
invite them, sir.
window.
They can join you na lang sa likod nyo, sir.
Okay, so while waiting, Madam Irene, thank you very much for granting our request and for all the participants. To Sir Richard, thank you very much for the opportunity. Of course, we'll be welcoming everyone from your office or from your delegates coming to Kabayan as soon as the pandemic will be alright, will be okay. And sa lahat ng mga participants, I hope you were able to learn how to overcome your message and massage it so that you'll be able to deliver your message eloquently and be able to perform PPE or pivoting, performing, and to excel. Once again, thank you very much for the team of STII, DOST-STII. Thank you very much.
Sir Rolly, kasama po ba natin dyan si Vice Mayor? Ayan, so antayin din natin si Director na ano yata siya, na-disconnect yata siya. Ayan, for our participants who are done answering the evaluation form, we thank you so much for your participation. We hope to have you again. We will be having another webinar on June 1, 2021. And we will be posting the invitation through our Facebook page. We hope that you like and follow our Facebook page to be updated. Ayan. Nawala si Director. Antayin lang natin siya. Ayan. So for those who are done answering the evaluation form, you can leave the Zoom room, and we hope that you stay careful and grateful. Okay, because we are about to have our daily prayer meeting. We actually have our prayer meeting in the office via Zoom platform din po. So we do that every 3 o'clock in the afternoon to give thanks to God for us, because in the past 2 weeks we have had 3 weeks actually, we have had several office mates who were affected by COVID-19. Kasama na po kami doon. And that's why this was actually supposed to be done earlier, but because of, ayun nga, nagkasabay-sabay po kaming nag-quarantine, nag-isolate, and then nag-recover. Oops, I think Director is with another, nasa iba na ba siya? Nandiyan na siya? Okay. Anyhow, we can have our picture taking now, and then we will just add his picture. Okay, Sir Rainer, ready na tayo? Okay. Okay na? Okay. Tapos na daw po. Okay, sabi ng ating IT, tapos na daw po. Thank you so much. Thank you so much once again. Okay, so again, for everyone, please join us on June 1 in our webinar. And for everyone, thank you so much once again for joining us this afternoon. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. Thank you for participating. This is once again Irene Alice Brillo from Kabayan Benguet, your moderator for today, saying stay healthy, stay safe, and God bless everyone.
Thank you very much, and God bless to everyone.
2, 1. Three, two, one.